Hey, Zay.
Hey.
All right. Yeah. You gotta speak up so the camera can get you.
Yeah.
All right. You look good today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm just gonna ask you some questions, and you can just be as open as you want. How has your understanding of mental disorders changed since you found out since you received a diagnosis, or since you had speculation that you had diagnoses?
Say that one more time.
So how has your understanding of your mental disorder changed since you found out you had a diagnosis, or even speculations of a diagnosis? Because I know that when you first start experiencing challenges, people were saying you had different things.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things was finding out that mental disorder has a physical component too, so it can also be considered a physical disorder. That was something that was pretty big to me, to understand that.
Physical meaning
Well,
brain changes, or
changes in your brain chemistry, and so that's physiological stuff happening.
Okay, and then that changed the way you maybe try to address the challenges you're experiencing?
Well, yeah. Before I was diagnosed, and whenever I heard about people taking medication, I was totally against it. I was always like nervous, because you hear things about people taking medication and then they're all zoned out and that they're not able to really communicate with you well, and you just hear about negative side effects.
Right.
And I never really wanted to do it, but counseling and medication together, it helps a lot.
Okay, so that's helped you, like pairing medication with counseling.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you describe what it's like to interact with people who might not understand your challenges? So whether it be with family members or in community settings, what is your experience, your internal experience going on?
Well, now that I've been diagnosed for over a year, I'm starting to get more used to it. But I think what would be difficult for people is on the onset of mental illness and not understanding what's going on yourself. Like, what are these changes happening to you? I remember on the onset of mine, I started hearing voices, and I didn't know what schizophrenia was. So it was a really scary thing for me. I was nervous to look at people in their eyes, because I heard voices speaking everything that I was looking at. I was hearing a second thought actually explaining what it was, but it sounded like somebody else was in my head talking. And I heard threats, and like voices telling me to just kill myself, and other things that I don't remember right at this very moment, but I do remember it was pretty bad, and to the point where I didn't want to look at other people in their faces because I was actually kind of scared for them. I didn't want to say, I didn't want to look at my address where I was going. I didn't want to give up my information about where I was, and I didn't want to give up the information to myself at the very beginning. And that's something that you wouldn't really think of if you never experienced a mental illness. You might not really understand that that's something that somebody could be going through. It's a big challenge.
So you felt like you had to not only protect people that you were around, but also protect yourself?
Right. Not wanting to give up an address because thinking that people will be coming to get me. So that was a part of the diagnosis, paranoid schizophrenia.
Okay. So what factors in your life have led to your recovery today? You already mentioned medication and counseling being a good combination. And that's been like from professional help, people who have really studied mental disorders.
And I'm blessed because my mom was a strong proponent for me wanting to receive counseling. If I were just on my own, I would have never really thought to be institutionalized and to go through the process of like starting to get medication in the first place and actually just taking the time out to go through that process. I wouldn't have known what to do. But my mom had experience because her uncle had was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at one point. So she had been through the process and she knew that it helped him a little bit. And that little bit sometimes can mean the world.
Okay, so you're saying, so you mean your mom having an advocate for you who could see what was the best thing for you at that time.
Yes.
So somebody who cared about you and wanted the best for you and could motivate you and encourage you to go get professional help.
And everybody doesn't have that, unfortunately.
Yeah, everybody does not have that. So how can, for people who may not have that and who may not necessarily people who don't care about them, but don't have somebody who would encourage them to go seek professional help, because maybe they don't believe in medicine, maybe they don't believe in doctors and what they've heard bad things about institutions, right? And they don't want to send their people there. What is, I don't know, maybe try to explain what they would go through, or what is I guess what is something that could help them in their situation when it comes to interacting with people and being in a community with other people.
I really couldn't imagine going through this on my own. I was overwhelmed by hearing voices and different inputs. Not really understanding like the truth behind what I was hearing, if it was true or if it wasn't.
Right, because you were always hearing it, or it would come at different times and intermingle with your own thoughts.
And it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff can make a lot of clear sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be just as real as me and you sitting here talking. So I just know medication helped to lower the voices. They're not completely gone away, but I can hear them just ever so slightly. It used to be as if somebody was standing right next to me speaking. Like, that's how clearly I was able to hear voices. So I remember I was actually thinking about joining the military right before this started happening. But I was actually hearing voices before I was thinking about it. Actually, I was hearing voices telling me to march, and I thought I was speaking with God, communicating with God. So that's why I was interested in joining the military. But as I was going through the process and getting cleared, I was cleared mostly, and they were really interested in me. I did really good on the ASVAB test. I got a 93 on the ASVAB. I was told I would have to leave my clinical stuff behind. If I was interested in continuing, I would have to leave it alone.
What clinical stuff?
I have on my record, like on my medical record, it says that I've been to the hospital before. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was completely diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But that was something that somebody believed, but that wasn't really what was going on.
That's not what was going on.
Yeah, so they were still, I was still in the process of going through everything. I was getting cleared for health-wise and whatnot. But I remember sitting and speaking with the officer and hearing other voices at the same time talking to me, telling me not to go. And at this point, I was relieved because I thought that was something that I was supposed to do because it was possibly communing with God. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to mention about your experience? And, anything else you would like to mention?
I would just really strongly recommend that people would go to get help and apply for Medicaid, Social Security. There's services out there that will help you. If you can't afford a doctor, you might be able to get Medicaid, and they will take care of your expenses to a certain extent. I definitely recommend that, and counseling along with the medication.
Okay. Thank you.